Some problems here. Sorry, big time.
I'm so upset. Oh my God.
Drop it. Right, welcome to the Power Panel. Young Turks, Cenk, John Irola, Senator Nina Turner with you guys. Of course, Nina is a former Ohio State Senator. John is the host of Damage Report. We got a lot of amazing stories for you guys. The next hour has a couple that are top notch. Lauren Boebert. I mean, her mistake was both hilarious, and it's not even yesterday's mistake that we mentioned, a new mistake. It was both hilarious and tragic at the same time. I'm actually livid with her. I'm also livid with Representative Andy Ogles, I should say. So there's a lot of things I'm livid about, so should be a fun show. All right, Nina, how you doing?
Hey, Cenk and John, I'm living the dream, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a dream of a sort. Okay, all right.
Yeah, can't have a night terror without some dreaming, I guess. But anyway, okay, well, let's jump into some light news to start off with. Take a look at this.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the courts? That one is likely to be passed.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out.
Good. Oh, is that good? That's a big. I should sign it now. I'm a big boy. I have the pen. That was worrying, especially when you're doing something deeply and obviously unconstitutional. But that was Donald Trump attempting, in a fashion that he cannot, as president, to end birthright citizenship. And everybody knew that it was likely to be challenged and possibly blocked. Well, that has happened faster than was initially expected. But even in the short time between him signing it and it being blocked, it has led to a little bit of chaos, which we're going to discuss. But first, initial thoughts on it being blocked?
Yeah, so I agree with the judge, as John is about to tell you, it's blatantly unconstitutional. But I have a theory on why they're doing this very extreme policy, and it's related to Matt Gaetz. Interesting, so we'll tell you about that in a minute.
Okay, now I have some follow-up questions about Matt Gaetz' parentage, but anyway, let's talk about what has actually happened, because the possibility that it could go into effect, even if maybe would be later struck down, has led some people who were thinking about possibly getting citizenship for their child under the previous regime to be a little bit worried. And so apparently increasing numbers of pregnant immigrant women are requesting preterm C-sections so that their children can be born before February 19th, which is when it would previously have been expected to go into effect and could still go into effect. And many of the couples apparently are Indian women in their 8th or 9th month of pregnancy, but some are months away from giving birth and are still seeing if it might be possible to artificially give birth kind of dangerously early, and that's making a lot of people very worried. So there's a doctor at a maternity clinic in New Jersey that's confirmed that they've been receiving a high number of inquiries about early deliveries. Dr. Rama says a 7 months pregnant woman came in with her husband to sign up for a preterm delivery. She isn't due until sometime in March, so that would put it potentially up to 6 weeks early, somewhere around there. Another OBGYN in Texas says that they're seeing the same sort of thing in their clinic. Dr. Makula says, I am trying to tell couples that even if it is possible, a preterm birth poses significant risk to mother and child. Complications include underdeveloped lungs, feeding problems, low birth weight, neurological complications, and more. In the past 2 days, I've spoken to 15 to 20 couples about this. And so that's very worrying, those complications. And a lot of people potentially in a country as large as ours could be affected by that. And so some are having to weigh those potential health complications with the long-term ramifications if the child doesn't get citizenship. Bear in mind, some of these are people who lived in the US for years and years. One couple moved here 8 years ago on H-1B visas, which we've been assured recently are the best thing ever, and yet even being here for 8 years, they're now worrying like, well, that's something that they've been maybe looking forward to for a long time and it may not be possible. One, Varun said, we were counting on our child being born here. We've been waiting for our green cards for 6 years. This was the only way to ensure stability for our family. We are terrified of the uncertainty. And in this case, the pregnancy is not expected to be due until March. So it's another one of those that might be a little bit too early. And so this is chaos, and it's sort of classic Trump chaos, isn't it? That he's causing chaos in the field of immigration, but also making women extremely worried about what's gonna happen with their pregnancy. That's sort of classic Trump, but Cenk, what do you make of this?
Yeah, so the reason why I said, when I mentioned Matt Gaetz is this is the Matt Gaetz of policies. I said Matt Gaetz was the appointee that was a sacrificial lamb. So everybody attacks him. Meanwhile, Hegseth and all the other Kash Patel, whoever else, sails through. And so far, that's almost exactly what's happened, right? So we'll see if they all make it through. But that was, in my opinion, the plan, and they have executed that plan really well, much to our chagrin. Right? So now, when it comes to these executive orders, he does this one, which is so outrageous and ridiculous, and it's the sacrificial lamb. So everybody looks at it, oh, squirrel, oh my God, oh my God, I'm so angry, I'm so mad, I'm so mad. Meanwhile, there's like, how many orders? 1,200? So, I mean, executive orders.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, there's like all of the other dozens, hundreds, whatever number of the executive orders people aren't paying attention to because of this one, right? And there's a lot of dangerous ones in those other executive orders. So, but now, so that's my criticism of Trump. By the way, this would ironically give me extra rights because you'd have to reinterpret the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are full citizens. If you take out the people that were born here, that only leaves naturalized citizens, me. Okay, so I now have more rights than you guys. Okay, so it's an absurdity beyond imagination. So, okay, now about the practical consequences. Now I've got to tell the folks on the left, please stop panicking. And so this is an interesting conversation we all need to have, okay? Because the panic is causing more problems than the actual issue, right? Because immediately, a Reagan-appointed judge said it was the most unconstitutional thing he has ever seen, and immediately struck it down. And so will all the other courts, okay? It's totally absurd. But if you deliver your baby before it's time, that will have actual consequences, massive consequences. So you want to hate Trump for threatening it? Makes sense, because even when whatever the president says is chilling to begin with, right? It has even his speech has ramifications. I'm not trying to shut down his speech. He's the president. I get it. He can propose even extreme policies. I get it. That doesn't mean he should, right? But from how we react to it is also important. And so please don't do this. And besides which, you're doing it so irrationally. Once he signs the executive order, first of all, there's a 99.8% chance that it's not going to be put into place. But in the crazy scenario where that judge gets overruled and the other one gets overruled and it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is totally rabid and lost its mind and takes away birthright citizenship, it would have been taken effect when he did the executive order. It's already too late. So don't do any of this nonsense, right? So, but it isn't too late. He's trying to distract you. He's trying to agitate you. Don't help him do that. Nina, what do you think?
Yes, Cenk, you bring up some very excellent points. I mean, when we act in despair, and we shouldn't be acting in despair, definitely be cognizant of it. It is shock and awe. what Trump specializes in. To add to something that John said, he is the chaos king, and this is what he loves. I mean, he thrives in this environment. You know, I just penned an op-ed, which is in the Nation magazine as of today, about how we must keep going, that our mission has not changed, that we must continue to fight, and we were gonna have to fight no matter who won the White House. The fact that Trump is in his 2.0 season now means we had to fight a different and deeper way, but the fight still continues. And that's really all they do want us to do is get us distracted. Those other executive orders that you were talking about, Cenk, I mean, one takes away protections for those who have Medicaid and will allow them to force work requirements and all of this crazy stuff that this man is doing, repealing of some of LBJ's, 1965 executive orders. So there's so much going on right now that we do have to focus our efforts and our energy, and we have got to organize, and we must use the legal system to our advantage. And there are groups out there who are doing that, and definitely big ups to the Reagan appointed judge, first name Judge John Coughlin, or hopefully I didn't butcher his name, who said, and I quote, blatantly unconstitutional, end quote. So we got to use the tools at our disposal, Cenk and John, and one of those tools is to be calm and organize and get ready to fight these fools, because that's what it's gonna take.
I like it, I agree. I'm gonna give you just a little bit more from the judge. As Nina said, yes, blatantly unconstitutional, says I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as it is here. And he's been around for a while. He goes on to say, I have difficulty understanding how a member of the bar can state unequivocally that this is a constitutional order. It boggles my mind. Where were the lawyers when this decision was being made? I don't know, maybe they were there, but they were Lena Haba or Rudy Giuliani. Maybe they were doing their best and they really don't know. But anyway, I have a few more thoughts on this. I do want to tee it up though to a video, because it is not just Donald Trump through an executive order that is trying to get this done. Take a look at this.
Now, with the Birthright Citizenship Act of 2025, we can solidify these reforms into lasting law and codify them. This bill is quite simple. Let me share with you the criteria for automatic citizenship. Citizenship will be granted only to children born in the United States with at least one parent who is, 1, a US citizen or national, number 2, a lawful permanent resident, and number 3, a lawful resident who is serving in the military.
If the framers of the 14th Amendment would have known how abused the notion of birthright citizenship would be, which was not even a notion in the 1860s, they would have been absolutely stunned.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought that we just took the plain text of the Constitution. I didn't think that we could just think about what they would, like if they knew how bad it would get, then we can reinterpret it. So even something as simple as the 14th Amendment, I mean, it just says there, if you're born here, you're a citizen. Oh, but it's really bad. Okay, well, then in that case, we can take other amendments that might be really plainly written. I mean, they think the Second Amendment is super simple. But if they had only known how bad it would get, I mean, if they knew that schools were being shot up in churches and bars and festivals and concerts and all that, well, then obviously they would have changed their mind. And we could just all decide to rewrite the Constitution whenever we want, right? Whoever the hell that guy was, who should probably see a doctor soon. Look, I think that cosplay and costumes are fun. Those guys are dressing up as if they're the founders. They've printed out their stupid little paper. They think it's the Constitution. But of course, they have no more capacity to unilaterally change the Constitution than Donald Trump does. But the reason I want us to talk about this isn't that they can do it. They can't. Amendments are a thing for a reason. A law is not an amendment. It's that this has become so normalized. Like, look, I had my 13th anniversary at TYT yesterday, I think. So I've been around for a while, but I haven't been around nearly as long as you. When like Lou Dobbs was on, that's who I think of as like a rabidly anti-immigrant person on the news or whatever. Was he even advocating for birthright citizenship to be taken away? Like, I think you would have had, 15 years ago, you would have had to go to stormfront.org or something to get somebody advocating for that. And now it's Trump, it's the Congress, it's all of the right-wing media, TV and independent or whatever they call themselves, and a significant portion of his base just because they're always looking for something more. Like we shut down the border, barely any people are getting across. Well, we gotta get something. And this is the next big thing for them.
Yeah, so if, they say in that proposal, one parent is a citizen or a legal resident, et cetera. And you know which part of the Constitution it says, the part about the legal resident, the one parent? Oh, right, none of it. It doesn't say that at all. The 14th Amendment is crystal clear. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States, period, okay? So in order for you to interpret that into the Constitution, you would have to have the most activist justices you have ever seen in your lifetime. They'd have to just make up words and make up phrases and things that the founding fathers, those guys in that press conference admitted never said. They said they would have said it if they lived today. I know they would have agreed with me and written it differently. But brother, they didn't write it differently and you just admitted it. So you know, and this is not a proposal for an amendment. There's a different one in today's show. That one is also nuts as well, but at least it's a proposal of an amendment and that is the right process. This is an executive order that's blatantly unconstitutional and doesn't give a damn that it's unconstitutional. And then it says, oh, but the founding fathers would have and could have, but didn't, but who cares about the Constitution? I thought that the right wing said over and over again that they love the Constitution and they revere the Constitution. They're like, oh, it's a little inconvenient for us because we don't want these immigrants doing this thing. So let's just rewrite it with activist justices.
Insane.
Okay, why don't you just say you never meant a word you said? So you didn't care about activist judges as long as they were on your side. You didn't care about the Constitution or violating it as long as you were the ones violating it. So look, I know not everybody on each side believes these things, and I know sometimes some of the most extreme things are proposed and some are opposed and some are in favor. But Donald Trump proposed this one. That was an executive order, so it comes from the top. So it's not like you can say, oh no, it's just a commenter or a rando congressman. No, it was Trump, and he likes doing things like this. I know that partly he's doing it to tell his base, I hate immigrants as much as you do, but nevertheless, this is not how you're supposed to govern a country that has a constitution. And I just keep saying it every time. And at the same time, this is a perfect example of why we shouldn't over panic. Senator Turner's absolutely right. There's plenty of terrible things in there that we've got to organize and find a smart, logical, reasonable way to push back on and win on. But if we spend all of our energy freaking out about the least likely things and then taking counterproductive measures like having these early bursts, don't do that. Let's do it right. If they're doing it wrong, let's be more strategic on our side and fight back effectively. Last word, Nina.
And Cenk, I mean, that's exactly what they want us to do, to use our energy in exacerbation. We only have a finite amount of time, a finite amount of energy, and we should not use it by freaking out. Even as this man just died, he just throws bombs everywhere. He is coming in like the Tasmanian devil because that is how he gets his energy. I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned. Absolutely, we should be concerned, but you cannot make purposeful decisions when you are feeling desperate. We got to step back and take a breath. And these people are asinine. I mean, I feel as though this has to be the year of awakening, Cenk and John. It has to be. And if this is what it's going to take for the masses of people in this country of good consciousness to wake up and to unite, then so be it. We have got to fight and fight harder. And it's not just because of Donald J. Trump. He is a symptom of a larger problem. But I tell you what, the Democrats failed and they failed epically. And Donald J. Trump, President Donald J. Trump, understands how to use power. He didn't walk in there saying, let me do it bipartisan. He didn't say, let me reach across the aisle. He said, oh no, hell no, I'm about to sign a whole bunch of executive orders and get people all razzed up. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, you know what, the Democrats, we got to do things bipartisanly. If it's any lesson, you got to use power when you have it and use it to the good. And had they did that, we would not be in this situation right now. So Cenk, I know you said you annoyed. I'm annoyed too, because we would not have been in this situation if the neoliberals had stepped aside and did the right thing. They brought us Trump 2.0, and I'm livid about it.
Yeah, I can't agree any more than that. I mean, if I could go to 101% agreement, I would. Nina speaks for me.
Yeah, thankfully, those neoliberals are no longer in charge of the Democratic Party.
Well, hey,
well, anyway,
cross your fingers. 3 years from now, we all better make sure that they are not in charge of this party. Otherwise, we've seen what they do: wall-to-wall losses.
100%. Okay, we're gonna take a short break. We'll be back.
All right, back on TYT. So let's go to Super Chat first. John Mariano writes, and I can see another purpose for the birthright order, namely to demonstrate Trump's willingness to disregard the Constitution, as Bondi and Hegseth did when they refused to say they wouldn't comply with an illegal order. Yeah, I hear you. That's a very interesting point. And I mean, he said it, that, I mean, what did I tell you before the election 100 times? The number one thing I was concerned about is after he lost the election and he's trying to do that coup, he wrote, we should terminate all rules, regulations in the Constitution. He doesn't care about that document at all. People keep projecting their decency and their love of country onto him. He doesn't have any love of country or Constitution. The minute the Constitution was inconvenient to him, he wanted to terminate it. So we have to hope that he goes on a right path, semi-miraculously in some regards, and doesn't go on this disastrous path. Because if he really tries to overthrow the Constitution, then yeah, then we're in a nightmare scenario and we won't be able to recover. What I mean by that is that we'll be at each other's throats. It'll be the biggest emergency this country's ever seen. We're not there yet, and it would take a lot of steps, a ton of steps to get there. So we don't need to assume that it's here, but we also need to be concerned about this first step so we don't get to that last step, okay? So you're right to be concerned. Let's just be calm and handle it the right way. Balk says, saw Cenk on the unknowns, Don Lemon and Piers Morgan all in 1 week. Nice, Cenk and Andrew was not on my 2025 bingo card. I thought you did great. Thank you, appreciate it. Neil Whittington says, Trump pardoning the January 6th rioters is giving aid and comfort to the enemies thereof, further disqualifying him through Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Neil, I hear you, brother, but I gotta be honest with you, that ship has sailed. And we didn't sail that ship, the American people did. They knew all about that and they reelected him. So as much as it is deeply frustrating to us, we're not gonna be able to win that battle. In YouTube member section, Kathy L says the scary part is what if Trump ignores the court order, he has full immunity from the Supreme Court and he can pardon his underlings. Yeah, that's the nightmare disaster scenario that I referenced earlier. If we get there, it's already too late. So we have to, but again, it would require so many steps before we get there. So trust me, I will tell you when we need to panic. And this is not it yet, okay? So let's fight him in the right way. We'll be right back. All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Nina, and John with you guys. I'm gonna read a lot more comments in the next social break from our members, but I gotta read just this one here. Dragon with Flagon writes, they should put Nina Speaks for Me on a shirt.
Ooh,
not such a bad idea.
I like it.
Okay, all right.
I love that, thank you.
Yeah, All right, John.
Okay, let's get back into it. President Donald Trump signed yet another executive order yesterday, in this case to promote cryptocurrency in the US, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think he has billions of dollars invested in, which would seem to be somewhat of a conflict of interest. Am I onto something there?
Yeah, this is one of the things I'm most worried about because trashing the Constitution, et cetera, is so extreme, and it would take, they'd have to use up all their power and then probably get burned on it, and it would probably end disastrously, not just for the country, but for Trump. But on this crypto stuff, they're gonna do that. And my prediction is it's going to cost us an unreal amount of money. So this is the thing you should be focused on.
I have that concern, and I have a related concern, which we'll get to. But I do want to give people a little bit of the text from the executive order. It says, the digital asset industry plays a crucial role in innovation and economic development in the United States, as well as our nation's international leadership, which proves that you can literally type anything you want into an executive order. And you just put it there and it's just words. It doesn't have to mean anything or be true or be connected to anything, but he said it. And shortly after the order was issued, the SEC rolled back accounting guidance that had deterred banks from getting involved with crypto. So I hadn't really thought about another great recession being caused by cryptocurrency, but I think we just took another big step towards that because all they've ever wanted to do is gamble. That's all crypto is, and they're now being told, no, it's totally cool. You can just take people's money and then gamble it in cryptocurrency. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Additionally, he announced that his administration will evaluate whether to create a, quote, national digital asset stockpile, making good on a promise to support the use of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. You know how like we have a national reserve of oil in case of an emergency? This way, in case we desperately need Bitcoin or Doge or something, it'll be there just in case. Now, he didn't actually set it up, and some crypto advocates had been pushing for that. So this does not go as far as they perhaps wanted. They wanted Bitcoin. They say that Bitcoin is the new digital gold, which doesn't mean anything, but it sounds kind of cool in a techie sort of way. And they say we need to have a reserve just like we do with gold, as if they're similar. So anyway, the big issue that I have with this is that Donald Trump, like with TikTok, was very clear in his first term, it's a scam. And he is now very supportive of it. Now, I'm not calling that hypocritical because I don't think he's changed his mind. I think he knows very well that it's still a scam, but he also found out this week that he can make literally billions of dollars by being a part of the scam. So that's worrying that what he does here will have ramifications for his own wealth beyond anything you can imagine. The stuff they were saying about Hunter Biden making money and Joe Biden, that is orders of magnitude smaller than what we're seeing here. Also, the crypto lobby already put more than $130 million into congressional races the last time around. So there's a huge financial component there for elections, but also my biggest fear, and maybe I'm panicking, you let me know, is he set up his meme coin or whatever, and cryptocurrency is very difficult to track. Huge sums of money are going around. You can be an international person living in another country. What is stopping basically untraceable massive sums of money being transferred to Donald Trump and his family through this coin or through his actual crypto platform that he set up, where presumably that would be very buttressed by this sort of executive order? I feel like we've been focusing a lot on the evil of the last few days, but I think the corruption might dwarf the cruelty and the unconstitutionality. I think he has set up the possibility of bribery beyond any prior president's wildest fantasies.
That's only 100% true. So I think that here's how Trump's thinking on it went. This crypto stuff's a scam. Wait a minute, this crypto stuff's a scam. Okay, remember, he's a legendary con man. He had a fake university, he had a fake charity, he had to pay fines for both of them, admit that he was guilty. And remember what he's famous for in business. He always tips his investors. So, and he literally says, what's good business? You take their money and then you don't pay them back. No, that's not good business, that's just you being a con man. So when he realized, oh my God, this is the con of all cons, he went, con! And so, look, there's tons of bad news here. I'll give you a tiny bit of good news. as you guys, a lot of you know, been going on some right-wing shows or people that, and everybody's all over the board. Some of them are not really quite right-wing, but I was on it with a guy who voted for Trump yesterday. And when I mentioned Trump's meme coin, he's like, oh yeah, that's a scam. Yeah, the meme coins are scams. And Trump's meme coin is definitely a scam. So there are a lot of people who support Trump who are like, yeah, no, we get it. He's definitely robbing people there. Okay, so that's, and guys, remember, he's not robbing us, so you don't have to pay, like, I'm gonna tell you how he's gonna rob us in a second. But you don't have to, he's gonna make billions, and if that drives you crazy, I hear you, brothers and sisters, and it drives me crazy because he's never earned any of it, right? In my opinion. But in this one, he's just robbing his own supporters. And his, like the ring around him is robbing his supporters because they all buy in low. Trump already has 80% of it, right? And so the way that they make money is when Trump supporters come in and buy it and drive up the price, and then they dump it on them. And so when they dump it on them, and let's say that it started at $10 and it went to $50, and it gets to $50, they sell, so they just made $40 per share. You know, these are all examples. So they're super happy. The Trump insiders got rich off of that. And then it'll go from 50 to 0. Oh, that's your $50. So if you're MAGA, you're gonna lose that money. But you say, hey, I know it's speculation and I wanna get in and then dump it on some other sucker. Hey, that's your business, it's a free country. And then you get burned on it, it's a free country, okay? But there's two giant problems, and I gotta get to Nina here because some of this actually affected her personally. But yeah, one is that other countries and companies and individuals can easily bribe Trump through this because you just buy his meme coin and he has 80% of it, he just keeps your money. It's the easiest bribe in the world, and you won't be able to stop it. So I think that is going to happen for 4 straight years. And I told you coming in, number one thing he's gonna do is rob the place, because that's who he is, he's a robber, right? Like all the moral stuff that we're worried about, that's all distraction. He doesn't care about that. If he thought he could effectively rob people by being a saint, then he would have been a saint, right? He's just distracting you with all the other stuff so that he can get rich on this stuff. So now the main issue I have on the policy here is digital stockpile. Wait a minute, when the crypto guys started all of this, they said, we're doing this because we don't want government. Government is bad, and we don't get your stinking government hands off our crypto. We don't want any government regulation. They're like, oh, now it's worthless? Oh, the government guarantees it, now it's worth something. Okay, isn't that a beautiful magic trick? Now, let me ask you guys this. I'm gonna read from CNBC of all places. Crypto investors, companies and executives accounted for almost half of corporate donations in the 2024 election cycle. The corporate donations in this cycle were monstrous, were enormous, and they had half of them. Do you think they did that out of their goodness of their heart? Oh, just because they care so much about the general welfare? Or do you think they thought, well, who cares if we put in 100 million, 200 million, or 400 million? We're gonna take billions of fake money and have the American taxpayers guarantee it. And if things go badly, we'll just take it from the American taxpayers. So of course it's worth it to do endless bribes because we're gonna make 10 times, 100 times that money. So that robbery is headed like a freight train right towards you. And I know the right wing will never believe it. And at this point, the right wing loves crypto more than they love Trump. So this is the thing they'll get most angry about. They'll be livid and, but you don't understand crypto, you don't understand Bitcoin, you don't understand this. We got this. Well, if you got this, then don't come and ask us to back up your fake money. I don't want my real money and taxpayer money going to your fake money. Oh, if it's not, and I know what they're gonna say now. It's not fake, you don't know anything about it. Good. If it's real, then you keep it. Enjoy it. It's a free country. Go nuts with it. Don't ask me to guarantee it. If it's real, it's real. The only reason you want me to guarantee it is because it's fake and you know it's fake. Go and cry about it. All right, Nina, this affected you because they said these crypto bros spent the money against you and you were gonna win that seat in Ohio until these sons of bitches came in.
That's exactly right, Cenk. I'm having flashbacks just listening to you and John talk. Bankman-Fried was the main one. Yes, crypto came in like a storm. And I remember like it was yesterday getting a call from one of the people working on my campaign saying that he had heard the rumor that Bankman-Fried was gonna jump into this race, that he was gonna make some calls and try to head it off. It was all crypto. It was all based on me believing that both Israelis and Palestinians have a right to safety, security, freedom, those little things like that. But yeah, it came in like a storm. And the same thing happened, we know, to Bush and also to Bowman. And as you just laid out, Cenk, the amount of money that they spent both on the Democratic side and the Republican side, because both of these parties are captured. I want our audience to understand this. They are captured by corporate power. This is crony capitalism at its worst, in our face. And as far as President Donald J. Trump is concerned, he was against it before he was for it, and as long as it works out for him, he is for it. And Cenk, your point about government get out of our way, only if government backs what we want to have happen, then we like the government. If it's not backing what we want, then we don't like the government. I hope that the everyday people of this nation are seeing that these folks are playing in our face, which is another reason why not just conscious-minded folks should unite. We need working class people from all walks of life to come together, because unless you have a trust fund, unless you have a sugar mama, a sugar daddy, or a sugar somebody, we are all at peril with these fools. He is like the wizard, don't look behind the curtain, and definitely the shell game, baby. This is what President Donald J. Trump is doing, coming in the door.
100%.
Yeah. I have one more prediction, because I made some bold predictions saying that Trump has some percentage chance of going right in some of policy issues, right? A small minority of issues, and people got really mad about that, et cetera, right? So I'll make a bold prediction that the right wing get mad about, so we'll all be even, okay? So if they don't rob us at all through crypto in Trump's 4 years, I'll come back out and apologize and say, I was wrong. No, they never ran any scam. They said they didn't need the government, and they didn't use the government. They didn't, they just did whatever they do, and they running their thing, and they didn't use the government to rob the American people at all. And I'll come out and say it, right? But I think they're almost definitely going to do that. And so that's my prediction. And then when they do, there's something that they're miscalculating. David Sachs, who's running this program, and all the other people, Elon Musk, and all these guys who are involved. If I'm right, and they take, look, I think the numbers will be so gigantic, it'll boggle the imagination. If you take that much money from the taxpayers, you're inviting a wrath like you have never seen. Because the country's already a tinderbox. Well, we're already angry, and we're already angry at the oligarchs and the elites and the donor class that keep taking and taking and taking. And if we were angry at the banks, we were angry at the oil companies, we're angry at the pharmaceutical companies. But if the crypto bros and the oligarchs and the tech guys rob us even more, imagine the rage there's going to be in this country, and not just from the left, but also from the right who got robbed.
Yeah.
So, buyer beware all around.
Yeah, and if he is ripping off right wingers, I mean, we've already seen over the last year their willingness to engage in political violence, the attempts on Trump's life from MAGA people, like it could be even worse.
I'll say on that, look, 222. I hope none of that happens.
Obviously.
I hope nothing physical ever happens to anyone on any political side. I'm just being realistic with you guys that there's only so much the donors can poke the average American. There's only so much the donors can take from the average American before people go, I don't give a goddamn what media says, whether it's mainstream media or right-wing media. I got eyes and ears. It's the frickin' donors. The donors control everything. And then Trump said he was gonna drain the swamp and that he wasn't gonna be controlled by the donors. And if his donors rob us, I'm telling you, not just the left, not just independents, but a portion of his base is gonna go, oh, you son of a bitch. You were just another trick, another trap for the donors to rob us again. And it will be a straw that breaks the camel's back.
I'm gonna send everyone a break with a prediction. So I already predicted the SEC telling banks they should invest in crypto that's your next big recession. They should start planning the next movie, the next big short. The second one is crypto got massively into the elections. They're gonna start first perhaps advertising on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and then they're gonna start investing to control those networks because they're gonna need hosts going on there and telling people like maybe this is a good idea. You know, they buy CNBC or they get involved with Fox Business. They start telling people like, yeah, no, I know it's failing constantly, and Donald Trump is basically, he's put out Hawk Coin or whatever, but you should get involved in it. I feel like that could be the next big thing, the same way pharma and big energy has. In any event, we do have to take a break. We'll be back with more after this.
Let's go to our members here. Lolo's Playhouse says, Sassy Dragon here to say, happy anniversary, Johnny Pie. I just signed up to renew my yearly TYT membership early, woot woot. Thanks Cenk, Anna, John, and TYT team for bringing it every day. I love how you all each bring your own thoughts and opinions on today's issues, even the most polarizing topics. Some get angry when they hear what they don't like, but I like hearing things that make me go, keep keeping it real. Oh, and Nina speaks for me too, just saying. Okay.
Hashtag.
Yeah, it's gonna be a new Me Too, which is what Nina said, me too. Okay, Michael says, God, Nina's so good. She needs to run for Congress and hopefully someday president. Intellectual, well-spoken, and principled. Nina, I mean, almost all the comments are about it, okay? So I'm gonna keep going. Art Guy says, Senator Turner bringing clarity and fire to the panel. Craig Ray Souffle says Power Panel was Dragon Daddy, Black Pearl Dragon, and Cenk. Not bad. Okay. Now, some non-Nina ones, believe it or not. Camp Corona Dad says the framers of the 14th Amendment didn't foresee how it would be abused. If only there was a way to adapt the Constitution to modern times. That's funny. I like it. Textan says, but Cenk, that's why they have the Constitution and the Trump Bible, so they can ignore it all at once.
That's good.
You know what Jesus loved, because I read the Bible, tax cuts for the rich.
Definitely.
Couldn't get enough of it.
That's why when they're turning over the tables and all that, it was for the rich.
Yeah, he's like, the tax cuts weren't large enough. I want more corporate taxes. Where's my carried interest loophole? He said in Matthew. Salt to the Union writes in, all with a huge picture and graphics, but I can't show that to you. His name, Johnny Danger. His game, Johnny Danger Walking. Talking about John.
I gotta see this image now.
Eclectic Miscellanea writes in, hey, hi all. If Cenk is starting out livid, I give it better than 50% chance that we have a classic Cenk rant by the end of the show today, and a 10% chance that it will end with Young Turks. God, I love our audience. Eclectic, I'm gonna give you a Blue Apron gift card. Rewards at tyt.com. I'm not gonna let you say no. Okay, $100 Blue Apron gift card. You know what? That's it. Go back. I'm also gonna give it to Textan because we all laughed at that one, and I'm gonna give it to Camp Corona Dad. You all get a $100 Blue Apron gift card. Go to rewards at tyt.com. We already know you're members. And I'm about to run out of time, so Kyle Worry, YouTube member, says, Nina. Brad David says, Nina's the best. She does not put up with BS. You got that right. And Sean Williams says, first power panel, the new Trump disaster. Okay, fun for everybody. We'll be right back. TYT, Cenk, John, and Nina with you guys. Donovan, Diederich, thank you for joining by hitting that beautiful join button below the video on YouTube. By the way, on YouTube, you don't have to just join and become a paying member. We'd love it if you do, and we appreciate you supporting the show. You get all the content, including John's True North, which is a great series that he did. But you could also just subscribe for free, and that's a great way of following the show as well. All right, John.
It is. Okay, let's talk a little bit about strategy for the Democrats going forward, starting with this.
I thought that I would create one of my favorite all-time recipes. Now I'm going to be moving fairly quickly, so unless you're a professional chef, you may want to occasionally pause the video so you can keep up. What do we need? Well, we need some bread, we need mayonnaise, we need cheese, and we need good old-fashioned tuna. 2 pieces of bread. Put them out on the plate, open up the mayonnaise. I love mayo. I know my kids hate mayo, but make sure you get plenty on both sides. You gotta make sure you distribute this evenly across the bread in a way that's even and appropriate. Next, your favorite cheese. For me, medium cheddar, and I'm a 2-slice man. You need a heating device. I'm going with the MVP 5, and one of my old favorites, usually about 30 seconds. You can whip up this favorite in virtually no time.
I don't think I've ever wanted a video to turn out to be a deep fake more, but I think that was from 2020. That was Democratic Senator Mark Warner. I had missed it in 2020. Get off my back. I was busy. There was a lot going on. But I guess that's one way to communicate with the voters. I'm hoping it's satire, if not a deep fake. Do you remember that?
No, but I do remember the era where everybody was cooking on Instagram and etc. And like the first time AOC did it, it was fun, it was interesting. And then everybody's like, oh, I'll copy that. So wait till you see what we're about to tell you. They think that that might be their next grand strategy. Oh my God, please stop. And same thing we all felt as he was putting that mayo on the bread. Please stop. And I say that, and as you can tell from a guy who likes mayo, okay? Okay, but bounds of reason, brother. But wait till you get a load of their strategy.
Yeah, that is really something. But maybe it's the way forward. Hashtag 2-slice party. But anyway, apparently they're talking about different strategies, how to communicate, what language to use, how to use social media, and that I guess is one of the good ones. But so they're trying to figure out their message, and of course Donald Trump was all over the place, every podcast, every Twitch show. He was on TikTok, he was on Joe Rogan and all that stuff. And so they're trying to figure out the strategy, and they're only in the early days because evidently they haven't been thinking about it in an ongoing fashion, which seems like a dereliction of duty, but they've landed on, we should talk about the economy. And I think that's a good idea, actually. Weird that you've only thought of it now, but that's what they're working on. Representative Emanuel Cleaver of Missouri said people are sitting around in circles quietly talking about what the strategy ought to be. Are there changes that we need to make? Do we hold Trump accountable on everything that we don't like that he does, or should we be more selective? And okay, so CNN apparently has a scoop on this private Senate Democrat luncheon from last week. No word on if they had tuna melts there. But anyway, Democrats apparently scoured examples of how conspiracy theories, like one about Haitian immigrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, spread rapidly in conservative media, and how Democrats needed to try to harness their own tools to get their messages out better. And so one of the examples they said that they liked, a bright spot, was that video of Senator Mark Warner working on that tuna melt, he called it, I guess. Anyway, senators talked about the need to repost each other's social media posts to try and organically get their message out, but they also argued they can't abandon traditional media altogether. Well, sure. I mean, Trump went on Fox News and all that stuff, and I don't know. Like, I want them to have these conversations. I would, though, like them to be at a more advanced phase than maybe we should retweet each other. I feel like Twitter's been around for a while. I feel like you should have something more. But anyway, they also were asked about, well, he's going on like right-wing entertainment infrastructure. What about the left-wing infrastructure? And apparently they weren't familiar with it. Senator Cory Booker said it doesn't exist, which, ouch, first of all, buddy. But But anyway,
I'm gonna explain that one.
Hey, Cenk, you don't exist.
Well,
And
some do wish.
This is why they lost. Okay, I'm about to leap out of my skin. I'm sorry, I am losing it, and I know everybody in the studio can see me rocking in my seat. This is why they lost, America. And first of all, that is no way. Absolutely no way to make a tuna melt. Okay, listen, that's the most important lesson here. Do not nuke. Do not put mayonnaise in the microwave. Lord have mercy on my soul. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's my major concern. But no, this is why they lost. This is why they lost. So they think going on TV and having a better message. No, how about you deliver for the American people when you control the House, the Senate, and the presidency? How about increasing the federal minimum wage? How about in those swing states, this presidential election cycle of 2024, that the overwhelming majority of folks in those swing states wanted Medicare for all? How about that? How about you run on some stuff and deliver some stuff? That's how you win. But you want to compete with Donald J. Trump on his own turf in terms of media? This is insane as hell, and that is why we got Donald Trump 2.0. These folks don't know what they're doing. They just do not know what they're doing. They need to go. We don't need any of them. You talk about getting rid of the consultants that consulted, how they just took $1 billion and just put it in the front yard and set it on fire. All of these folks need to go.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of thoughts on this. First, they looked into online media, and now we see how this is such a great story because you see how antiquated they are. They're fossils. They have no earthly idea what's happening in the real world. How many times did I tell you on this show? They live in a bubble, this little cocoon in Washington, and that cocoon has nothing to do with the rest of the world, and they don't know it. And you could tell from that because they're earnestly having a conversation. Well, we've investigated online media and we found out there are no left-wingers online, and they love tuna melts, okay? And if you just go on Instagram or the TikTok or the Talkie Tick or whatever that thing that Israel wants to ban, and then you just pour on the mayonnaise, the Americans love that. And that makes you relatable. And then it turns out we should retweet each other. 2010 called and would like its clue back. Isn't that amazing? And they're asking Cory Booker because the 70 and 80-year-old senators have no freaking idea. They don't even know what the internet is, right? And Cory is now, I mean, I'm in my 50s. I don't know if he's in his 60s yet, but he's like, it's okay, I've investigated this.
I have it on good authority.
Yeah, okay. Now, guys, but there's things you might not know. And so it gets, with the Democratic establishment, it always gets worse, right? Kamala's ad strategy was to go on online media. A lot of people don't know this, but to buy only right-wing shows, ads on right-wing shows. They're never going to vote for you. And you just gave them more money and more power. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, how many millions did she spend advertising on TYT?
0. And you know why? Because they criticized me. How dare they? Plus, they don't exist. Well, if you're this freaking clueless, I mean, look, guys, did we have a lot of undecided voters because of what they did in Gaza, et cetera, et cetera? Yes, we did. Those are the exact voters they needed to reach. I don't need you to advertise, but I need you to have a brain and try to figure out how to get to those people to vote for you. That is politics 101. 101. They're like, we got it. We just give money to Tim Pool and we'll get more votes. Oh, you morons, you morons. So look, I don't know if they gave it to Tim specifically, but I know for a fact that they advertised just on right-wing shows. That is unbelievably stupid. So, okay, I'm not done yet. So when he says there's none on our side, that actually gets to the core of the issue because he's actually half right. So since we won't do what they're used to, which is traditional media, hey, CNN, MSNBC, and New York Times and Washington Post are on our side. And by our, I don't mean the Democratic side, I mean the establishment side, okay? Since those guys will kiss our ass from here to till the cows come home. And I know, because when I was a host on MSNBC, not only when I criticized Democrats would I get a talking to, but when I criticized a former Republican, I got a talking to, okay? So no, establishment must be protected. Access. Oh, come on here, 80-year-old senator. Oh, tell us how young you are. And that's what they're used to. So when he says there isn't left-wing media online, what he means is those guys won't kiss our ass. So obviously we would never go on their show. We'll only go on shows that tell everybody how we're the greatest thing on earth. Oh, you won't do that? Well, then you don't exist. But even that's wrong, because have you not looked at anything online? Look, I'll throw out a name. There are many names, but I'll throw out one because everyone knows this and I think he knows it. Harry Sisson, right? So that kid will kiss any ass you got if you're an establishment Democrat. He'll kiss it on the left side, he'll kiss it on the right side. So you could use him. And by the way, some Democrats did. But the senators are like, oh, what is a Sisson? And how does it work? Like, God, Jesus Christ. And finally, the best point is Nina's, as usual, since they know they won't do policy to help us, then they had to rely on media to do marketing as if they did the policy. But now that the establishment media's legs have been knocked out, they're lost. They're like, without our propaganda, what do we do? I don't know, how about you fight for popular proposals that are already on your side? Okay, here, Mark Warner, Cory Booker, all the Democratic senators. I'll clue you in to the most obvious thing in the world, but you morons still won't do it, not just because you're stupid, which you are, but also because you're corrupt. Paid family leave. It polls at 84%. It polls at 74% among Republican voters. If you can't fight for that, I can get that passed in the Trump era. But you morons couldn't get it passed in the Biden era or the Obama era, etc. I mean, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I actually think you're craven and corrupt. But if you're not corrupt, then you're the world's worst politicians. But I'm sure the tuna melt will fix it.
100%. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm just gonna end by saying, I know that it's mostly posturing, but they suffered this terrible defeat, and now what are they saying when they go in the media? Like I see, like Schumer was saying, and you see others like that. We should be concerned about the rise of the oligarchy, which we should. We 100% should. But they're saying that. They're like all of a sudden, the word was invented, I think 2 weeks ago. Nobody's ever talked about it before. Now they're worried about it. And also, what if we had a dynamic communicator that knew how to like talk to everybody on social media, but particularly young people? Like you did. Like it would be one thing if the Democrats were just cursed, that they never had any of this. But they did, and they shut it down. They shut down Bernie 8 years ago. They shut down AOC, it's about 6 years ago at this point. They've had all of that. They could have been using it, but Nancy Pelosi, who obviously is a much smarter person than me because she's very wealthy, was like, no, get to the back of the line. Shut up, AOC, and the rest of you that are popular amongst the youngs. What's this green new dream of yours? And Bernie Sanders with his oligarchy and all that. So boring, nobody cares about that. Oops. They were both right. They've been right for years. And okay, fine, you shut them down in the past. That doesn't bother me nearly as much as the fact that you're still gonna. You know that you're still going to. You're not gonna suddenly turn to AOC because you desperately need to save not only our, but your asses. They definitely are still gonna do the exact same thing.
That's because they're owned by the donors, the donor owners, as Nina puts it.
Donors, that's it, Cenk, that's it.
Yeah, and so they're gonna go and say to their donor owners, do I have permission to pass a super popular bill? And the owners will say, no, shut up and make me a tuna melt sandwich. Mark Warner's like, okay, yes sir, I'm gonna get all the mayo on there for you. Is it good enough? Did I put enough mayo on there? Okay, bunch of losers. Okay, guys, none of this matters. The only thing that matters is winning the Democratic primary in 2028. Okay, these guys are never gonna turn around. They're not gonna become angels overnight. They're not gonna reject the donor money overnight. They're not gonna stop being corporate goons, not only overnight, ever, right? Our answer isn't to convince Mark Warner to be a decent human being. Our answer is to defeat them in the Democratic primary in 2028. If you don't do that, it's a guaranteed loss to the Republicans. So up to you guys. You can keep going, oh no, Democratic leadership they're demigods. They're so smart. We can't figure out their four-dimensional chess. It's so amazing. Joe Biden is young, he's 35. Joe Biden is 35. He is young and dynamic, and you should trust us. We know exactly what we're doing. You make the mistake of trusting them again, then they'll come crying and say, oh my God, can you believe a Republican won? Yeah, that's only what we've been telling you for 8 straight years. It's not just that Bernie's policies are better. It's that they would win because they're popular and your stupid corporate policies are unpopular. But go ahead, run another campaign where Kamala Harris goes, I have a letter, 90 CEOs are on my side. Corporate CEOs love me, and so does Dick Cheney. Dick and Liz Cheney love me. I love war and corporations. I lost? Oh, God damn it, somebody make me a sandwich.
You got back to the sandwich at the end.
On it. I mean, Senator, I was with him both of his campaign cycles. We know how popular it was in all parts of this country. And then thanks to the neoliberals that crushed, especially in 2020 when he made history by winning Iowa. Yes, Lil Petey, he won Iowa. New Hampshire, and Nevada at the, nothing like that had been done in a Democratic primary. And we had people like Congresswoman Cori Bush who slept out, as we all remember, so that the Biden administration would extend the housing stuff so that people wouldn't be out on the streets during the time of COVID. So we had those kinds of leaders and leaders who didn't turn back. I mean, we got some folks who turned back, who stood up there on that DNC stage and said, oh, they're fighting so hard. And we know that that was not the truth. That's even on the progressive side. Progressives have got to stop caving and go there to do what they were designed to do. If they want to be neoliberal light, then they might as well go ahead and be neoliberal light. Other than that, we need a real congressional progressive caucus, and we also need a real black caucus that is going to stand up for downtrodden people and honor why the Congressional Black Caucus was created in the first place. I'm very upset and annoyed about that because they're not doing what they were commissioned to do. If they were doing that, again, we wouldn't be in this situation. If those two caucuses had stood up, we would not be in this situation. But here we are making tuna sandwiches with lots of mayo.
Yep. All right. God damn it, we're out of time. All right, we didn't get to one story, but it happens. And John, where's your dragon tie? You were supposed to get it for did the shop TYT people not send it to you?
I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's still on the way.
Okay, we got a new dragon tie for his 13th anniversary on shop TYT.
Nice. Okay.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
13, my lucky year, I'm sure.
Hey, Jake, I know we got to go, but I want viewers, our audience, to catch Dr. West and myself, Truth Time, Monday through Friday on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nice. Oh, awesome. All right, I love that. Check out Nina there. Check out John on the Damage Report. We got an amazing hour coming up. You're gonna love the Lauren Boebert story. It's unreal. All right, come right back.
I can't tell you how good that feels and how good that tastes.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them. Turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets, where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks. Ooh. Now, these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, Jayar, a little bit reality show like. tyt.com/join and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey. Hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitzing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's Jayar's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny Pie. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing.
I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Cenk. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Such a big fan.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
This is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. Referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool, rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT?
Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing,
Because there's always got to be a super last thing.
Oh, that was disastrous.
This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes. Drop it. All right, back on TYT, Cenk Uygur, Yasmin Khan, and Jayar Jackson. All right, so everybody check out Watch List. That's where Jayar is. Everybody check out Rebel Headquarters. That's where Yaz is. This just came in, and we're gonna do a lot of great stories. Of course, the Boebert story that we promised you. There's a Republican bootlicker. We might even have a little bit of disagreement later in the hour. It's all fun. But the super chat just came in, and I want to read it to you guys because I enjoyed it. Donovan Diedrich joined as a YouTube member. I read it to you guys in the last social break. And he wrote in, glad to call TYT my new home. I was on board with Trump until his neocon cabinet picks. I'm a proud populist who's officially leaving the right. Thank you, Cenk and TYT, for all you do. Damn, thank you, Donovan. Really appreciate that. And what I love about that, way to have an open mind and way to find real populism that sticks up for the average person. But even if you know it's not us or it's not anything, I love that you're thinking and you're independent minded. That's beautiful. And it's great to have you with us. All right, Yaz, you got the stories.
Yep, let's roll the tape.
New reporting now about President-elect Trump's meeting with House Republicans happening right now. He apparently told them, quote, I suspect I won't be running again unless you say he's so good we've got to figure something else out.
A simple question of constitutional interpretation. Is President-elect Trump eligible to run for another term as president in 2028?
No, Senator, not unless they change the Constitution.
Well, we all knew this was coming. A House Republican has officially launched an effort to upend the 22nd Amendment and allow Trump to run for a third term. Cenk, they said they wouldn't do it. Are we surprised that they're doing it?
Yeah, well, no is the correct answer. And of course it's a disaster, but I have a really interesting reaction from the right wing to tell you guys about in a minute. But first, let's find out about this terrible plan.
Yeah, okay, so the 22nd Amendment was ratified in 1951, and it states, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than once. Quite a mouthful. However, Tennessee Republican Andy Ogles announced a proposal to revise the amendment. The language of the proposed amendment states, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected in 2 consecutive terms, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. So according to the language in the measure, the other living presidents who have served 2 consecutive terms would be disqualified from running again. So this amendment would only benefit Donald Trump, who is the only, he's the only second president since Grover Cleveland to serve a second non-consecutive term. So that means that Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton would all be barred from being able to run for a third term. But Jayar, before we go on, it's all a mouthful, not to be ageist or anything like that, but I thought the Republicans don't like old presidents. Trump would be pushing 90 by the end of his third term, and it's not like he's super healthy or super with it as a 78-year-old.
Yeah, I think they really know the process of this. It's just to kiss a little bit of ass. I mean, that's just the way it goes. We'll get to more details of that in a minute, but this is the idea. Nothing is standard when it comes to this president. Nothing is normal. Up is down, left is right. That's just the way that they approach these things. There's no shame in pushing that type of stuff. There's no thinking about it. There's no thought that the people that you're supposed to be representing may hold you accountable for your cartoonish and clownish statements. Going through all this process just to try and change a part of the Constitution that you know can't be changed, which again, I think you guys know we'll get to. I got a lot more on Andy Ogles as soon as we get through what this guy is actually up to, though.
All right, well, in a press release, Ogles stated this. He said, President Trump's decisive leadership stands in stark contrast to the chaos, suffering, and economic decline Americans have endured over the past 4 years. He has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history capable of reversing our nation's decay and restoring America to greatness, and he must be given the time necessary to accomplish that goal. This amendment would allow President Trump to serve 3 terms, ensuring that we can sustain the bold leadership our nation so desperately needs. Now, it's a long shot that this amendment actually gets ratified. This is from CNBC. It says, for a resolution to amend the Constitution to be sent to the Archivist of the United States, it must receive a 2/3 majority vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. If that is done, 3/4 of the states, 38 states, must ratify the amendment for it to become a part of the Constitution. Despite Republicans holding an extremely narrow majority in the House and Senate, it's unlikely that any Democrats, let alone the amount of Democrats that they would need, would vote for Ogles' resolution. Now, there are technically ways that Trump could work around this 22nd Amendment should Ogles' attempt fail and get a third term for himself. One hypothetical could be if JD Vance or another Trump ally runs in 2028, wins and has Trump as their VP and then resigns. But such a scenario would never happen, and it never has happened, and it could be a bit of a legal nightmare. And as we mentioned earlier, Trump would be 83 years old in 2029, so all of this is probably moot anyway and a distraction to the real issues surrounding Donald Trump. Cenk, something in the language stood out to me there. Ogles said that Trump has proven himself to be the only figure capable of leading the nation. That only is very telling, along with the fact that they essentially want this man to die in the White House. It's all very power grabby and it's not subtle. It's kind of dictator speech and fundamentally un-American. What do you think?
Yeah, so disastrous idea, and it's disastrous on two fronts. First of all, half the country's top concern about Donald Trump was that he wasn't going to leave office and that he was going to trample on the Constitution. You guys heard me before the election say 1,000 times after he lost the election last time, he said we should terminate the Constitution. I know the right wing has trouble believing it, then they look it up and they're like, boy, he really did say that. And he said it on Truth Social, and there's no way around it because he doesn't care about it. But to be fair, in this case, this is not Trump proposing it. It's this Representative Ogles who's clearly trying to kiss his ass. And so he's basically saying, yes, we would love for you to run. And then there's the pathetic part where he writes it so that Obama and Clinton, et cetera, can't run. So he's like, just in case it was clear, like I don't want you to be mistaken and think that I'm fair in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, we're a little scared of Barack Obama, so we wouldn't want him to run again, okay? But only us. We have to be unfair, we have to be unconstitutional. Now again, to be fair, he is at least proposing a constitutional amendment. That is the right process. Don't worry, it has a 0% chance of passing because you need 3/4 of the states. So that means they would need 13. You only need 13 states to block it. There are way more than 13 blue states. There's no way the blue states are going to be like, oh yeah, you're right. None of the Democrats should be able to run for a third term, but Trump should. So but he's basically doing it to say we're thugs, and your top concern about us not wanting to leave and being dictatorial, you were right. And so I was very curious how the right wing would react to this. Now this is anecdotal, of course I acknowledge that, and I actually want you to see it for yourself. And I almost never do this, but we'll put a link in the description box of the YouTube video, Facebook video, et cetera, if you're watching this later. And I want you to go to my post on X on this. And I wrote a long post about why this is a terrible idea. And by the way, it makes the right wing look ridiculous, and it makes the left wing go, see, we told you, right? And I wanted to see what the right wing reaction to it was. And about a third at least, and things, by the time you watch it, I don't know what the percentages will be, and I'm just eyeballing it. You make your own judgment call on it. We're like, well, I mean, if it's Trump, not so bad, right? Or, oh, well, I mean, we could amend it, and oh, well, that makes sense, et cetera. Maybe a third are a little ambivalent, but not really. But it looks to me, again, maybe I'm biased, you guys judge for yourself, but at least half of the commenters, but it looks like more than half to me, we're like, no, you're right, dumb idea, it makes us look bad. Ogle's idiot trying to kiss Trump's ass in all the dumb ways, and we didn't say to do this, and we don't want it, and we don't need it. And besides which, it's not, guys, remember, they're not on the left, right? So they said, besides which, JD Vance is gonna win anyway. And when Trump's gonna be old, we don't need him, we need Vance, we need a movement, we need this, we need that. But overall, they're not happy with Ogles. I don't know that they represent everyone, of course, right? But this is, I know the left and the independents hate this, and they are very, very, very right to hate this. It's a little encouraging that apparently some portion of MAGA hates it, but MAGA, if you go in this direction, you're just gonna confirm all the fears of the left wing about what you really want, that you don't really want any of the principles you talked about in the Constitution, et cetera. You just want unlimited power. So up to you guys, how you want to be seen. Jayar.
Nobody cares. This is the thing, they don't connect it to everything else that happens within this entire movement. Yes, they may be against this one thing. They may be against when Donald Trump sent his foot soldiers into the Capitol for that day. The next day they were for it again. Things change based off of who's gonna say it's gonna change next. If Donald Trump says this is a great idea, suddenly that little 35% that was all about how upset they are at Andy Ogles will be like, well, it's a great idea. Andy Ogles should be your running mate because he came up with this great idea. It changes based off of whether or not the king says it should change. Let's keep it real. But Andy Ogles, maybe they would connect it to the fact that these are the type of people that they continue to elect. I know it's on the more state level with Andy Ogles, I believe Tennessee. Andy Ogles is a fraud. Andy Ogles is up for an FBI investigation into a $320,000 campaign contribution that they investigated because dude didn't have $320,000 of his own money to loan to himself. So he's being investigated. And he's hoping that, as we've all seen since 2015 when Donald Trump came into office, that if you bribe, if you rub his chin a little bit, bit, dude's gonna give you anything he wants. If you say, hey, I'll be your friend. Hey, there's your ass. Where can I kiss it? Suddenly he's gonna do anything you want. So Andy Ogles, who then is under this Office of Congressional Ethics investigation into that $320,000 that he then amended and said it was only $20,000. Then they find out later that there was no $320,000 loan. We're trying to figure out where this money came from. He would like this investigation to go away. Similar to Matt Gaetz, now how you went after the former Speaker of the House, McCarthy, because he didn't make an investigation go away. He's trying in a different way to butter up Donald Trump to help him make this whole thing go away because they're a bunch of law-breaking criminals. And I've got a 34-time felon in the White House. I'm sure he's all about letting people off the hook for law-breaking tendencies. He just released a whole bunch of criminals out of prison for January 6th. Maybe he'll get me off the hook for this FBI investigation too. So he's buttering him up, hoping that he'll let this whole thing go away. Because on top of that, what else Andy Ogles did? This dude lied about his academic credentials. He used a stillborn death of a child to raise $25,000 for a children's burial garden that was never built. Similar to other folks that Donald Trump surrounded himself with. He said he was a trained economist, a nationally recognized expert in tax policy and healthcare. Lies. Also, he's a trained police officer, even an expert in international sex crimes. He's an amazing person. But people like this get into power because they know that the folks that they've appealed to don't give a damn about anything, no principles, no credentials. All they got to do is say, I'm MAGA, I'm Donald Trump's guy, let me in, and they're in. They're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember all that about Andy Ogles. I think I covered that on Rebel HQ, and that was a while ago. And then he kind of, drifted off. But it's true, whenever you have these people in government and they're already so beholden to their investors and to their lobbyists and then to their own crimes, they have so many skeletons in their own closets that they don't want to come out. They don't want to ever have to pay any kind of price for. Donald Trump is their guy, right? We know that he loves to get people offered. He loves to, that didn't come out the right way, but he loves to pardon people. He's already been doing a lot of that. And he loves to, he doesn't like accountability for any kind of thing, right? And he loves the sucking up, and so do it, Yeah. I imagine we're gonna see a lot of this. We're only a few days into this presidency. We're already seeing all kinds of crazy stuff come out. And I worry because it feels like it's all very distracting, right? Like there's stuff that's actually happening that is going to affect real people's lives. And instead, we have to talk about these things because they are relevant, right? If a congressperson proposes a third term for a president, that is a big deal. That is a historic moment. And we have to talk about it, even though it's such a I almost said something I shouldn't have said. It's such a lame story, it shouldn't go anywhere. We know what this is. This is gonna be an exhausting 4 years if this is what we're having to deal with.
Yeah, so last couple of things here. First of all, I love the facts and the history that Jayar brought about Ogles, and that goes to show you why he needs that distraction. So in a sense, it's like a personal thing for him as well. Whether it's good or bad for his movement, he cares a lot less than kissing Trump's ass and creating a distraction for his corruption. So look, since it's not, this one is literally not possible because there's no way the blue states are going to agree to this, and there's just too many blue states. So that means it's a message that he's sending, and whoever agrees with him is sending. So, but think about, if you're a right winger, think about that message. The message is, even though we know it's not possible, we'd like to irritate you by saying that we might want to go outside the Constitution and we might want Trump to stay just like you were worried about. Ha ha, we annoyed you and we annoyed the whole country with this message. Yeah, okay, maybe when you were outsiders and you weren't in power, that might have been an interesting strategy, but now you're in charge, so you got to grow up a little bit. So because if you keep going down this path, you're gonna make the same mistake the Democrats made. Oh, we don't have to pass anything that's popular. We just have to play silly little political games. And we just have to hate the other side enough. Good luck with that strategy, because you'll just hand the White House right back to us. So I appreciate it. Last thing is Keith Leon, who's I presume is a conservative member on YouTube, says, I see some TDS coming on, guys, Trump derangement syndrome. All right, brother, let me ask you this. I told you that Trump didn't propose it, Ogles did, right? And so are you saying that a third term would be great and we should amend the Constitution, but only for Trump, but not for Obama
And if we don't do that, that would be Trump derangement syndrome? Or is it being concerned about something that a United States congressman has proposed and some portion of MAGA agrees to? So are we not supposed to be concerned? So look, I get the trick. The trick happens 2,000 times over. Some politician on the right, or maybe non-politician like Elon, will do something outrageous with plausible deniability, get the left all riled up, right? And then when the left then attacks them, they'll go, oh no, golly gee, I didn't mean it that way, you're overreacting. You have Trump derangement syndrome. I'm exhausted from this game. Please stop playing these silly games. Either pass popular laws or shut up. Okay, we gotta take a break. When we come back, by the way, you should investigate Ogle's corruption. Okay, when we come back, I keep promising you that Boebert story because it's a doozy. We will have it. All right, guys. First of all, instant correction. Keith Leon apparently was saying that the TDS thing to a different comment, not to what we were saying on air. So I'll just say this on air. Producers, make sure you take that out of the clip because I don't want people thinking that Keith said something he didn't say. Okay, and Keith, thanks for being a member. Appreciate it. Explore Infinity writes it random only because we were mentioning that JD Vance will probably next time. Vance is about the same charisma as a damn sponge. He won't be doing much. So look, guys, we did say that and we believed it. And I don't think they won because of JD Vance, but they did win. But yeah, for however you characterize charisma, Trump has a lot more than Vance, so good luck to Vance. Donovan Diedrich, who I read a super chat from earlier, is the one who said he was a Trump supporter that's now on our side, says, Trump still feels cheated out of 2020, so seeking a third term isn't far-fetched, sadly. Yeah, if you leave it up to Trump and he could push a button, would he do a third term? Yeah, and then a fourth and then a fifth. He's all ego, right? He only cares about himself. So to me, that's why Trump was super important because he's the freaking president, right? But the MAGA base is in some ways more important because do they back his crazy ideas? Do they not back them? Who do they back next? What do they do? And so I know a lot of us think we know, including me, by the way, but I don't think that we fully do. And so we'll see how it plays out. All right, let's go to Super Chat. Badass 447 says, Cenk, you killed it on Piers Morgan, brother. Great job calling out that guy saying things you didn't say multiple times. I appreciate it. I know this, there's this, look, a lot of folks saying a lot of hilarious things about us. And so that guy was criticizing the bishop who lectured Trump on Inauguration Day. And what did I say? I said something like, are you tired of me bitch slapping you around already? Okay, so you checked out that clip because if you don't think I fight right wingers hard, okay, I think you're gonna need new eyes and ears. Derek says, watch out, I'm a paid member and this didn't come up in my feed. I had to go searching for this, presumably it means the live stream. And TDR yesterday as well, YouTube is blocking left media. Derek, I don't think it's that they're blocking left media, but there is a significant problem. But I'll leave it at that and see what happens. But yes, there's a reason why you're not getting it in your feed. Jonathan Boris-Johnny says, Bitcoin is 100% trackable. It's on a public ledger. It's much easier to launder money, hide money, illegally transfer money with traditional finance. 98% still does. I'm saying this as a friend. Jonathan, I know you're a good member. You've written in a lot. And so I hear you and I appreciate your perspective. But that's why you shouldn't need the government to back it up. If it's as good as you say it is, then you don't need the government assurance on it. He wrote in as well saying, I'll admit most cryptos are scams and most will fail. That said, crypto is the future and amazing technology with the brightest minds on earth developing it and deserves to rise like it will. And I know a ton of people on the left and independents are also into crypto. So look, we'll look into it more. We'll have more developments as we go. So, and as with everything, it requires nuance. Some parts might be good and other parts might be disastrous. We'll be back. All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Yaz, and Jayar with you guys, and also Bora Bora Aspen. They just joined. That sounds like a badass name. I'd like to be in Bora Bora. I'd like to be in Aspen. But good news, we don't have to be because he's now a member. So there you go. All right, Yaz, what's next?
All right, let's get into this next story. Roll the tape.
It has also been a time of extreme divisions. Many of the divisions caused and exacerbated by President Trump himself. It's been a time of several significant and utterly avoidable failures. Most tragically, of course, the unwillingness to respect facts and science and do everything that can be done to save lives during a pandemic. It has been a time where truth and fact were treated with disdain. It is a time of cruelty. The Trump-Vance campaign in 2024 was a very disciplined campaign and did a decent job of depicting President Trump as somebody who obviously had strong feelings on the border, somebody who had strong feelings on inflation and a disruptor, but somebody who was within the realm of normalcy.
That looked painful for Jake Tapper. It would appear that the CNN anchor has changed his tone when it comes to his coverage of Donald Trump. And according to a scoop by Oliver Darcy, that's because Mark Thompson, the CEO of CNN, has told his on-air talent to play nice with Trump. And we'll get to that report shortly. But Cenk, what do you think about that before and after video? It looked rough.
Yeah, so I think mainstream media, unsurprisingly, got the exact wrong lesson. You're not supposed to go, oh, we got caught kissing Democratic ass, so now we should kiss Trump's ass. No, not the correct way to go. I'll explain what I think is the correct strategy, which the mainstream media, of course, will never do in a little bit. But first, more on the story.
Okay, so Oliver Darcy reports that during an editorial meeting last Sunday, Thompson instructed against prejudging Trump. This is reporting from the Daily Beast. It says, in addition to instructing them to keep an open mind about Trump's second term, Thompson told his journalists he does not want CNN's coverage to relitigate the past. Thompson urged talent to withhold expressions of indignation aimed at Trump or his conduct. And Darcy went on to explain, Thompson does not want them endlessly poking the eye of the sitting president and believes that Trump should be shown some deference. And he has made it clear that he wants the MAGA movement to have a seat at the table when discussing political topics, even if certain pundits do use the platform to make incendiary and sometimes false claims. Quite a news station he's running over there. According to the report, no one spoke up against what Thompson said on that call. So Darcy continued, the day after the inauguration, Thompson addressed CNN's daily editorial meeting again. He doubled down on his instruction from 2 days earlier, though did tell them they could be fair-minded without being tough-minded. Big difference there, I guess. But we should note that CNN anchor Jim Acosta is on the fence about just leaving the network entirely, though for a different reason. Reports have stated that Thompson offered him a show at midnight Eastern time, but Acosta's show is currently on at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Darcy has referred to that new time slot as the Siberia of television news because who is watching CNN at midnight? Acosta is notorious for his criticism of Donald Trump, but perhaps that coverage is no longer compatible with CNN's new direction. And it has to be a personal thing with Acosta. His ratings are good. They definitely don't merit him being exiled to Siberia, but we know that Trump does not like Jim Acosta. Jayar, how far can Trump appeasement go in media before it's just full on censorship?
Well, it's kind of what he was predicting, right? I can make anyone do whatever I want. Once I have this level of power, it was all predicted. He's like, then I can wield this towards folks. This is another one of the, the consequences of unfettered capitalism. Because of course, it's all based off how much money they can make. That changes the reality. Therefore, you can stop talking about the reality of things. You can allow people to come on the air and sometimes tell falsehoods because we're trying to make some more money. We need more access to the liars so we can maybe make some more money. Yo, we're gonna move maybe someone that the president that's now in office again doesn't like so that we can maybe make some more money. It all goes back to the exact same thing. We're driven on this no matter what. And what are the results? People's lives change. People's lives are ruined. Fewer people have actual information that they probably need from what they thought was a trusted news source to make those types of decisions. After they make those false decisions based off of false information, and you elect a president that's going to do none of the things that he said he was going to do, and then your lives are screwed up, I guess that's capitalism. It's the kind of domino effect, and we've seen it when it comes to the way that money has filled up politics, even more so than before. People get bought out, and then they no longer even want to represent the people that they said they came into office to represent in the first place. What's democracy when capitalism controls it? It looks like this.
Yeah, and what's journalism when capitalism controls it?
Yeah.
Cenk, any thoughts?
Oh yeah. So first of all, they started talking about moving into anchors around, and we moved this guy from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I got bored. Moving the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. Meanwhile, hundreds of people laid off. I feel terrible for them. They're de-emphasizing TV. I got news for you. You know why? Because TV's dead. So it's dead man walking. They all know it's dead, and they're about to sell it off to private equity, et cetera. MSNBC very likely will be sold off into private equity. CNN is a little bit different animal, but this is their admission of defeat, basically. Defeat in terms of we lost the online media. We're now dead man walking. So start firing the TV staff and start pouring money into online media. Oh, come to Papa. I can't wait. Okay, yeah, you guys will do great in online. Hello, we're fake anchors and we'll kiss up to anyone who's in power. That's what my producer wrote because that came from the guy up top who says we need access to Republicans and Democrats. And it turns out they're our top advertisers. That's why we love the people in power. Yeah, that's gonna work great for you in online media. Good luck. Okay, so what is the correct lesson to learn? Look, you see me going on right-wing shows, etc. So wait, isn't that appeasing them? No, it's not. You go, first thing is, listen, not to Trump. Trump's full of crap, right? Listen to the actual voters, right? And so, here, I'll give you an example so you can understand what I mean. Like the establishment media and then sometimes our side, et cetera, think, oh, all those MAGA guys are idiots. They have nothing good to say at all. Now we got to freaking appease them. Okay, let's appease them. And they think, all right, what do we have to do? Do we have to pretend QAnon is real? Okay, like they're such clowns. No, if you listen to them, one of the things that you would find out is that, for example, they don't like Dick Cheney, they don't like John Bolton, and they're actually a little bit concerned about Rubio, Stefanik, et cetera, that Trump put in as his appointees. Oh, that's interesting, why? Oh, because they're anti-war. Now these guys are honest to a fault, right? I'm not talking about the politicians, I'm talking about the actual MAGA voters. They'll tell you whatever's on the top of their mind, whether you like it or you don't like it, right? So they'll tell you their real positions, and then you go, okay, oh, that one's kind of interesting. And another thing they'll tell you is that the politicians are full of crap. And look, not only do they hate the Democratic politicians, which they most certainly do, but they don't trust a lot of their politicians. So they don't trust the establishment Republicans at all. But CNN doesn't want to hear that. That's inconvenient because they're in the ass kissing business. So if you told them, hey, we hate Mitch McConnell, we hate Nancy Pelosi, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't say that, don't say that. Top advertisers, there are top advertisers, don't say that. Well, then you're never gonna learn, you're never gonna do anything. And so, and now what do you say after you listen, what do you say on air? You don't go, oh, okay, now Joe Biden is 35 and young and dynamic and Kamala Harris ran a perfect campaign, but now Trump is also perfect. Okay, no. You go, Trump's an idiot on this birthright citizenship, it's outrageous, unconstitutional, et cetera. And Joe Biden had his brain falling out of his ear and was a guy who screwed over the Democratic Party, is a giant egomaniac. Oh, no, you can't say that. Oh my God, that's an establishment politician. No. Now we're a little aggrieved. We were lied to. We thought he was 35 and we found out that he's in his 80s. Okay, come on, guys. You're so fraudulent. No, like, you know how you win in media these days? By doing the exact opposite of what you're doing. Being authentic, challenging the powerful on both sides. But they cannot get it through their thick, corrupt heads. So they'll sit there with their stupid ties and their stupid sets, and they'll all go around and around. And last thing, look, they'll have these hilarious conversations, which we talked about after the election, and they do it for the left and the right. They're like, oh, it turns out the Democrats might have lost because of this thing we found out about 2 days ago called populism. Now, of course, that's very dangerous and terrible, and no politician should ever do it. But we heard about it, and all right, so we brought on 7 establishment pundits to tell us what populism is. Why don't you bring on an actual populist? Oh, no, that is very dangerous. We would never do that. Even for MAGA, so that's on the left, right? But on the right, they're like, oh, we brought in Scott Jennings, an obviously establishment Republican who's been doing this for a long time and is part of the consulting class, pretending that he's populist MAGA. And he kisses Trump's ass, so he must be populist MAGA. You haven't had a single populist on air in decades. So go play your silly little games, then you'll come online and we'll slaughter you in the views and the ratings and whatever else you're looking at. And then at the end, their last desperate attempts will be, guys, take the ties off. And hey, Bobby, try it without a prompter. I hear TYT goes without a prompter. And then Bobby will I remember one time when I was on MSNBC, the producer told us, all right, guys, we ran out of time, so we can't do that last story. You're just gonna have 30 seconds when we come back. It was me and another anchor. So just vamp for 30 seconds. I mean, it's just like do a little chit chat. The other guy flipped out. Of course, I'm not gonna tell you his name, but he was like, what are we gonna say? That's 30 seconds. There's no script, what are we gonna say? I was like, brother, I got it. You don't have to say a word. It's 30 freaking seconds. They're totally, utterly incompetent. They can't do news, they can't do TV, they can't do anything. So nighty night, CNN.
What Cenk won't tell you guys is that he went over by 1.5 minutes.
But it's true, right? Like the strategy that they've chosen to go with by being so safe, like their ratings are already tanking. They're already doing so poorly in their ratings, and the whole nature of television is changing right now. And instead of trying something bold and innovative and new, they're floundering and they're doing something so incredibly safe. And for some reason, they think that people are going to respond to it. They're not going to win over right-wing viewers by doing whatever it is that they're doing because they look weak. And I don't think that the right wing responds to that. They're just going to stick to watching Fox News. And the left-wing viewers that they still have, which is not that many, they're not going to stick with them either. Like, what is anyone getting out of looking at CNN these days, right? Even MSNBC has kind of lost its luster in recent years, like especially within the last year with the election, I feel. And they were kind of more, they're more centrist than we are here, but they were kind of like the pinnacle of left-wing legacy media for a while. And I am curious to see what is going to happen to all these anchors, all these legacy anchors, to Jake Tapper, to Anderson Cooper, to Rachel Maddow, to all these people who we're used to seeing on our televisions late at night. The landscape is changing, right? It's moving into media. It's moving in, it's into digital media, into social media, into independent media, where even in independent media, just to be transparent with the audience, of course, it is a business that we're running here. And that's always going to be a factor, right? You're never going to be able to get away from it, right? You still have to get the clicks. You still have to get the views. You still have to work that angle to an extent, but you try to do it as best you can while maintaining your authenticity and not being, not lying to your audience and not trying to trick your audience into watching them. And I feel like if you just do that, your audience will find you, and in effect, your advertisers will find you, or your patrons will find you.
It takes
any final thoughts before we move on?
Last thing on, I think it takes work. People they don't want to work. It's hard. It's hard. You have to research. You have to actually look into things. And when somebody tells you something, you have to think about it and then find out if it's right or not. Just same with the teleprompter stuff. Like, oh, well, what else can I say? Because I have to think about what I'm saying rather than just saying what's in front of me. And that's the difference. And I think, these legacy folks may end up doing more podcasts. That's all that's left.
Yeah. So last couple of things to address what Yaz was saying. So first of all, I totally agree with her. The idea that Republicans or MAGA are going to go, oh, CNN has a couple of pundits now that are kissing Trump's ass. Oh, we're going to jump right in. We're all watching CNN now. Do you know how clueless you have to be to believe that? And yet all of CNN's executive management team believes that. So that's why when I tell you guys that everybody's in their bubble, like, you can't believe that they believe that, right? But inside their bubble, they think, oh yeah, we got this. Now we're gonna get all of MAGA to watch us because we delivered Jim Acosta's head to him in a box. So now that we got rid of Acosta, they're just gonna flood in. You're gonna get 0 extra Republican viewers. You have no freaking idea what's going on. And finally, to answer Yaz's question, what's gonna happen to all the Jake Tappers and Anderson Coopers? Jake Tapper is going to retire to the board of the Aspen Institute or some other fancy like think tank or thing that's like that super rich people fancy to be intellectual. And they're like, oh, I do declare Jake Tapper's on the board, right? What is he gonna do? Could do an online show? Come on, please, right? And Anderson Cooper is gonna retire to his Vanderbilt mansion. And he's gonna think, nailed it.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, all right, we gotta take a break. Come right back. Back on the social break. First of all, go to tyt.com for a couple of reasons. One, we got a poll about a story we're going to get to. It looks like in the members only episode now on today. What kind of husband goes grocery shopping with his wife? Is something Jesse Waters said, and we're asking your opinion on that. You'll be amused by it. We also have a member poll. I'm curious what you guys think. Which of Trump's appointees would you block if you could? You only get one, that's why it's an interesting question, and only for members. Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, or Tom Homan. Tom Homan, of course, is in charge of deporting people. So, by the way, if you're a YouTube member, and you want to participate in the poll, members poll on tyt.com, of course you can. If you haven't connected your account yet, it takes like 20 seconds, totally free, obviously, because you already paid through YouTube. tyt.com/connect, tyt.com/collect, and then you could vote on that poll. Prize Picks is one of our sponsors, and they're giving away a free pick for the big game. I think you know what the big game is, where one of the starting quarterbacks will only need to throw 1 yard to win. If you don't win that one, you're in a lot of trouble. All right, if you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you can win real cash. Download the app today and use the code TYT to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code TYT to get $50 after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Now, we have sponsors and we sometimes say that we use them. You're not going to be at all surprised to find out, yes, I use Prize Picks. and I've got my picks in for this week. All right. How's it going, Frank? How's it going? What's that, Jayar?
How are they going, brother?
Well, so not good. Okay, fine, you win. Okay, but I got this. Championship game in the Super Bowl. Okay, so M. Duver, thank you for purchasing monthly membership on tyt.com. Michael writes, Helen 007 says about the Democrats that we talked about in the first hour and their tuna sandwich strategy. Helen 007 says the strategy, do the opposite of everything you useless donuts have done in the past. Jesus Christ, we're doomed. Okay. Wind Spirit Feathers says, can you imagine if Kamala had spent all that money on TYT for ads promoting her progressive views that she could have adopted to gain progressive support? Since apparently she changed her views to gain the support of those she thought she needed. Yeah, well, that would have been a much better strategy. Change your strategy on Gaza and then do ads on TYT. You would have probably picked up a lot of votes. I don't know if it would have made the difference, but you certainly would have picked up a lot of votes. But instead, she spent it on right-wing media. Mongoose Dragon says, best day of the week, Jayar Jackson. There's a lot more where that came from. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all of them, but a lot of love for Jayar out there. Make sure you're checking him out on Watch List. You can catch that on YouTube as well. Art Guy makes a good point. Ironically, Republicans brought in 2-term limit after FDR, so of course they'll throw that out. throw that rule out when it suits them. And that does seem quite right. I'm out of time. We'll be back. All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Jayar, and Yasmin Khan with you guys. Check out Yasmin on Rebel Headquarters, Jayar on Watch List. Bjorn Ling, thank you for joining by hitting that beautiful join button. And look, guys, that's for membership, so you get all of our content. But you can just subscribe for free as well to follow the show. I'm gonna read more of your comments in the members only bonus episode because there's a couple of things I want to address, but we'll save that for that. Yes, you're next.
All right, it's your Boebert story, Cenk. Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert hilariously embarrassed herself in the halls of Congress yesterday by screaming that there was a guy in the women's bathroom. But here's the thing, it wasn't a man, it was a woman, and a glimpse of the harassment to come. So before we give you more details, Cenk, I know you're excited about this story. How do you think this is gonna go?
Very poorly. But look, guys, there's a funny part of this story. There's two hilarious parts of this story. There's also a tragic part that I'm gonna get pretty, I don't know if I can say that word, pretty mad about. Let's put it that way. All right, go ahead, yes.
All right, well, according to Bloomberg congressional reporter Billy House, he witnessed the event and he said, I bear witness Representative Lauren Boebert bursting out of the House women's restroom during this afternoon's vote series, complaining to security personnel stationed in the nearby speaker's lobby of a guy in the bathroom. So according to an unnamed GOP lawmaker who spoke to the Daily Beast, Boebert was telling other members that she believed the guy was Democratic Representative Sarah McBride, telling them you shouldn't be here. McBride is a transgender and is not allowed to use the women's bathroom due to Mike Johnson's policy barring transgender people from using single-sex bathrooms or facilities at the Capitol. So House continued, intrigued, I stuck around to see who had emerged from the bathroom and saw just 4 other people leave, all women. Within minutes, however, Boebert was storming back from the House floor into the restroom, reinforced now by Representative Nancy Mace with her in tow. But alas, just seconds after this duo entered the bathroom, they came back out and went quietly back to the floor. Well, the woman in the restroom was not Representative McBride at all. So he says, a bit of bathroom vigilanteism maybe. I later asked Boebert what this was all about, noting I had heard her complain there was a guy in there. To her credit, she acknowledged it was a mistake. And she said, there was a rumor there was, but it wasn't true, she told me. Well, according to the Daily Beast, Boebert did apologize, and she actually admitted that she made a mistake. She said, I made an error regarding a mistaken identity. I apologized, learned a lesson, and it won't happen again. Okay. Everyone can grow, I guess. Well, Sarah McBride's deputy chief of staff and communications director told The Advocate that what happened wasn't that surprising. And this is, I think, what Cenk was alluding to earlier. She said, what a thoroughly predictable and predicted outcome. Representative McBride thinks people should get back to work rather than play bathroom police. Look, I guess this could happen to anyone, but for Lauren Boebert, this isn't even the first time this week that she mistook someone else's identity. According to the Spectator's Cockburn gossip column, Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert spent a decent chunk of Saturday's first America First Policy Institute ball trying to ingratiate herself with Susie Wiles. One small problem, she wasn't talking to Wiles, just a woman from the Midwest who looked kind of like her. So Boebert seems to have been going for some kind of viral moment with all of this. I feel like, she flew out of the bathroom, she grabbed Nancy Mace, and then she flew back in trying to make a moment out of it. She used she's made a career out of playing this sort of politics, right? That's very heavy on identity politics and light on actual legislation. What kind of legislation has Lauren Boebert actually pushed forth for her constituents in Colorado? So perhaps she thinks that this second Trump administration is her moment to shine, but until now, we haven't really seen very much from her. Jayar, let's start with you. Do you think she's just trying to stay relevant with this, or do you think this stuff is going to keep working for her like it did in the past?
It's kind of odd because the way that she admitted to being wrong. So the first thought, of course, is, this is for attention. She grabbed Nancy Mace, who of course has made her latest, PR grabbing stunt based off of this, which she introduced the whole thing that ended up having Mike Johnson keep folks out of the restroom. That again, we're waiting for what to happen. She went screaming, tearing out of the bathroom like something is happening. So again, if there's any basis in reality or the concern about maybe being assaulted in a bathroom or the kinds of folks that have been brought up on charges of assault, maybe if I'm not gonna go so far as some of the people that we've seen in certain clergy that have been assaulting people, we're not concerned about them going in the bathrooms. We're concerned about this because Nancy Mace brought it up. So maybe you would think she's bringing this up as some kind of a clout chase. But then she admitted and said there was a rumor that there was. Bro, you're the rumor. What are you talking about, a rumor that there was? You're the person who ran out of the bathroom screaming as if someone had snatched or reached at you somehow. So within a month or two, Lauren Boebert's gonna come and have a speech on the floor where she says, approval of Congress is at an all-time low and have no realization that you're part of the problem, bro. We talked about Andy Ogles earlier and introducing this third-term bill only for Donald Trump. When are these folks gonna start working? When are we gonna stop running out of bathrooms, talking about someone's in there when people are trying to work? And when are we gonna stop introducing bills about third terms for the president that he knows aren't gonna go anywhere? They don't care about anything. They're constantly in campaign mode because that's all they know how to do is lie and appeal to people to make them think that what they're saying means something. When is something concrete gonna happen? I mean, oddly, the concrete things that are happening are the stripping of people's civil rights and the taking of people's rights from women to minorities to even some of these MAGA voters. So bro, I'm not sure where they plan on going with this, but it's been a few days and this is the clown show. How much worse could it possibly get? I honestly don't want to find out, but we're going to.
Yeah. Look, it's funny because she's such an idiot and it's so pathetic, right? The Susie Wiles story is hilarious. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, she didn't even Google what she looks like. She goes up to a random person at this event. She's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And she starts kissing up. So Rando's like, "Why is this congresswoman kissing up to me?" "Oh, she thinks I'm powerful." "No, you dumbass, that's somebody else. Go kiss up to them." And then she goes in the bathroom and she's looking for glory and fame. And she's like, "Oh my God, I think I've got a media moment here. I'm gonna smear someone and I'm gonna attack them in the bathroom. It's gonna be great. Hey, Nancy, come on, Nancy Mace, let's go have fun and get famous." Total idiot, right? So that's the funny part. Now the tragic part. Sarah McBride is a United States Congresswoman. They want her, I don't know if you've ever seen her. She looks like a woman, she is a woman. I know, right wing, I know. No, she's not, there's only two genders. You want her to go in the male bathroom? And I guarantee you if she goes in the male bathroom, they'll be like, "What the hell's going on? There's a woman in the male's bathroom, this is crazy." And not just, okay, she's Sarah McBride, she's a US Congresswoman. But imagine in the real world, like if people you don't know, and you have a woman go into the men's bathroom, you're gonna get more freaked out. You have someone who is a man, in our opinion, and right wing, even if you say, "Oh yeah, they're not," but they certainly look like a man, right? Trans men, and you want them to go with beards, and you want them to go into the woman's bathroom? You know what's gonna happen? You're gonna be like, "What the hell? There's a guy in the woman's bathroom." Just let him go to any bathroom. They like, stop being such jerks. This is why half the country is deeply concerned that you guys are hateful. Chasing people in bathrooms. It's disgusting. Let me add one other element to this story. Lauren Boebert accused a woman, and yet for right wingers, a biological woman, accused a woman of being a man because she was trying to catch someone who was trans in the bathroom. What are you doing? You're insulting all these people in 18 different ways, leading a witch hunt. This is why people don't like the right wing. Go ahead. Look, I'm the guy who said our side has to realize that the American people are not with us on when we go to some extremes and say, no, the WNBA shouldn't get to make that choice. We should force them to take trans women, etc. And we can get into that fight, okay? But this is different. And when the right wing comes in and tries to actually make trans people in this country deeply uncomfortable, otherize them, drive this hatred towards them, and start hunting them in bathrooms, I'm going to tell you, not only is it deeply wrong, and not only does it start to separate Americans, and by the way, it is textbook culture wars. No, the left didn't start this one. Here we are, new day in America, Trump got elected. It's Lauren Boebert and the right wing starting this culture war issue. Why? They're about to pass a giant corporate tax cut again. So they don't want you talking about the corporate tax cut because we all hate the corporate tax cut. So they want you to think, oh, let's hunt trans people in bathrooms. Disgusting. But what's gonna happen is one day, one of these interactions is gonna get taped. And people are gonna see it and they're gonna be disgusted at you. They're gonna say, what are you doing chasing people in bathrooms? And then you're gonna lose the American people, and I can't wait for that. No, we draw our line here for sure. Whatever else you agree on, leave them alone in bathrooms, you monsters.
You can hold out hope, Cenk. I'll have to wait. I have to see it before I believe it. Everything that you would think, we got to the point where they would go, you know what, I've had enough of this. It's never enough. Elon told them to F themselves in their faces, and they got quiet and went and F themselves in their faces. There's nothing. There's nothing so far. I'll wait for it. I'll keep my eyes and ears open for it. I still haven't seen a moment when they're like, this has been too much. We'll see.
Well, I don't know, because Jayar, you brought up a point earlier about like, when is it going to be enough? When are they actually going to start doing anything? Lauren Boebert has done this for her entire time that she's been in Congress, and she got reelected. It was a slog getting her reelected. She had to jump through a lot of hoops to get there, but she still got reelected. So people still reelected her into office after she has done nothing for the people of Colorado. She's tried to take credit for a lot of good things that happened, but she didn't actually do any good things for the people of Colorado. And so, like, why would she have to change her behavior? There is no incentive.
Yeah, last thing on this, Jayar, don't get me wrong. There's some things that I hold out a little bit of hope on MAGA being actually anti-war stuff. I don't have a huge amount of hope on this one. And the majority of MAGA appears to be on the side of, doing these witch hunts inside of bathrooms. So it's a terrible strategy, and I hope they get burned on it. Let's protect all of us and our decency and love one another and stop getting distracted by the culture wars. All right, we got a bonus episode coming up next, and we might have some disagreement in there. We're gonna talk about Elon and the ADLs now back to criticizing him. So super interesting story. tyt.com/join to become a member, or hit the join button below. We'll see you there. Oh, God damn it, somebody make me a sandwich.